Keanu Reeves is known as one of the nicest stars in Hollywood, but one simple favor for a friend turned into one of the strangest movie stories of his career. At the time, Keanu was already famous, but after The Matrix, his life changed completely. Suddenly, everyone wanted him in their movie, but there was one movie he never truly wanted to make. And the story behind it is so surprising, it almost sounds impossible. Before Keanu Reeves became one of the most loved actors in the world, he was already doing well in Hollywood. He had appeared in popular movies, people knew his face, and his career was moving in a good direction. But at this point, Keanu had not yet reached that next level of fame. He was not yet the global action legend everyone would later talk about. Then came the late 1990s. Keanu was working, living his life, and still keeping things simple. He was not the kind of celebrity who acted bigger than everyone else. He was friendly, calm, and known for treating people with respect. And that kindness is exactly where this story begins. Around that time, Keanu had a friend named Joe Charbanek. Joe wanted to become a movie director, but breaking into Hollywood is never easy. He had a movie idea. He had ambition. He had a dream, but what he did not have was the power to get the project moving. So when Joe looked at Keanu, he saw more than a friend. He saw the one person who could open the door to his Hollywood dream. And soon, one small request would pull Keanu into a movie problem he never saw coming. One day, Joe came to Keanu with a request. He had a thriller movie he wanted to make, but the project was not moving. No big studio was rushing to support it, and no one was ready to give him the money he needed. So Joe believed that if Keanu appeared in the film, even for a short moment, everything could change. He did not ask Keanu to carry the whole movie. He only wanted a small appearance, just a quick role that would help him tell producers, Keanu Reeves is attached to this project. For Keanu, it probably sounded simple, a few days of work, a small favor for a friend, nothing too serious. And because Keanu had a reputation for being kind and supportive, he agreed to help. He was not thinking about money. He was not thinking about fame. He was just trying to help someone he knew chase a dream. But what Keanu thought was a small favor would soon become something much bigger. Because once his name became attached to the movie, everything started to change. Once Keanu agreed to appear in the movie, everything changed for Joe. Before that moment, Joe was just another hopeful director trying to get people in Hollywood to listen. He had a script, he had passion, and he had a dream, but that was not enough. Hollywood is a tough place. Many people have ideas. Many people have scripts. But without a big name attached, most projects never get serious attention. But now Joe had something powerful. He had Keanu Reeves connected to his film. Even if Keanu was only meant to appear for a short time, his name alone made the project look bigger. It made producers more interested. It made investors pay attention. It gave the movie a chance that it did not have before. So Joe started taking the script around Hollywood. And this time, people were listening. Doors that were once closed began to open. Meetings became easier to get. The project no longer looked like a small dream from an unknown director. Now it looked like a real movie with a real star attached to it. For Joe, this was the opportunity he had been waiting for. His dream of directing a Hollywood movie was finally getting closer. But while Joe's future was starting to rise, Keanu's life was also about to change in a massive way. Because around this same time, Keanu was working on a science fiction action movie called The Matrix. At first, nobody truly knew how big that movie would become. But when The Matrix was released, it exploded. Suddenly, Keanu Reeves was not just a famous actor anymore. He became a global superstar. His name became even more valuable. His face was everywhere. Studios wanted him. Fans loved him. And his career moved to a completely different level. That should have been a beautiful moment for Keanu. But for the movie Joe was trying to make, Keanu's sudden fame created a new problem. Because now the producers did not want Keanu for just a small role anymore. They wanted more. And that is when the friendly favor started turning into a Hollywood nightmare. After The Matrix became a huge success, Keanu Reeves was suddenly one of the most wanted actors in Hollywood. His name was no longer just helpful. His name was powerful. To the people behind Joe's movie, this changed everything. They looked at the project and realized that having Keanu in only one small scene was not enough anymore. Why use a global superstar for just a short appearance when his face could sell the whole movie? So the plan began to change. The small role Keanu thought he had agreed to was expanded into something much bigger. Instead of a quick favor that would only take a few days, Keanu was now being pushed into a major part in the film. And not just any role. He was being placed at the center of the story as the dangerous villain. This was a huge difference. A small cameo is simple. You come in, shoot your scenes, help your friend, and leave. But a bigger role means more time, more pressure, more responsibility, and more attention from the public. For Keanu, this was no longer the same favor he had agreed to. He had only wanted to help Joe get the movie moving. He did not sign up to carry the film. He did not plan to spend weeks or months working on a project he was not excited about. And this is where the situation became serious. Because Joe should have gone back to Keanu and explained everything clearly. He should have said, "The role has changed. The movie is bigger now. Are you still okay with this?" But that conversation did not happen the way it should have. Instead, Keanu's name kept being used to move the movie forward. And soon, what started as a friendly promise became a trap he could not easily escape. At this point, Keanu Reeves believed he had agreed to one simple thing, a small appearance, a short role, a friendly favor. But behind the scenes, the movie had changed into something completely different. Now the people involved needed Keanu locked into the project. Without him, the movie could lose its power, its funding, and its biggest selling point. And this is where the story becomes very serious. According to Keanu, he did not properly agree to the bigger role. He later claimed that his signature was placed on the contract without his permission. That meant, on paper, it looked like Keanu had agreed to do the movie. But from Keanu's side, he felt trapped. Imagine thinking you are helping a friend for a few days, only to discover that your name is now connected to a much bigger movie deal. And not only that, the role has changed, the time commitment has changed, and the pressure has changed. For Keanu, this was no longer about helping a friend. This had become a legal problem. If he walked away, the production company could come after him. If he fought back, he would have to prove what really happened behind the scenes. That could mean lawyers, court battles, money, stress, and years of trouble. So Keanu was left in a difficult position. He could fight and risk damaging his career even more. Or he could stay quiet, finish the movie, and hope the situation would pass. And sadly, the kind favor he once agreed to had now turned into one of the most uncomfortable moments of his career. When Keanu understood how serious the situation had become, he did what any smart person would do. He tried to find a way out. This was not the movie he believed he had agreed to. This was not the small friendly favor he thought he was doing. And now, instead of a quick appearance, he was being pulled into a much bigger role that could take serious time away from his career. So Keanu reportedly spoke with his legal team. He wanted to know if there was a way to leave the project without destroying everything around him. But the answer was not simple. If he refused to show up, the production company could take legal action against him. They could claim he had already agreed to the movie and that his withdrawal caused them financial damage. That kind of fight could become very expensive. And even worse, Keanu would also have to challenge the contract itself. That meant he would have to prove that he never truly signed up for the role in the way the producers claimed. That would not be easy. It could turn into a long battle involving lawyers, courtrooms, money, and public attention. And for an actor whose career was rising fast, that was a dangerous distraction. Keanu had big opportunities in front of him. After The Matrix, Hollywood was watching his every move. The last thing he needed was a messy legal war that could follow him for years. So even though he was unhappy, he made the painful choice. He would do the movie, not because he loved the script, not because he wanted the role, but because finishing it seemed safer than fighting a battle that could cost him even more. And just like that, Keanu Reeves found himself walking onto a movie set he never truly wanted to be on. As if the situation was not already stressful enough, Keanu Reeves soon discovered another painful part of the deal. His role had become much bigger, but his payment had not grown with it. That was a major problem. Keanu was no longer just doing a small favor in the background. He was now expected to carry a large part of the movie. He had more scenes, more responsibility, and more pressure on his name. But the money did not reflect that. At this point, Keanu was already one of the most talked about actors in Hollywood because of The Matrix. His name could sell tickets. His face could help a movie get attention. Studios knew that people wanted to see him, so normally, an actor in his position would be paid like a major star. But in this case, Keanu was reportedly stuck with a very low deal compared to his level of fame. That must have made the situation even more frustrating. He was being treated like the biggest selling point of the movie, but he was not being paid like it. Other actors in the project were reportedly earning much more, while Keanu was locked into a deal that did not match the size of his role or the power of his name. And remember, this was not a movie he was excited to make. This was not a dream role. This was not a project he had chased for years. This was something he felt pushed into after trying to help someone else. So now, Keanu was facing the worst kind of Hollywood situation. He had to give his time. He had to use his name. He had to appear in a movie he did not truly want. And on top of all that, he was not even being paid what most people would expect for a star of his level. But Keanu still did what professionals do. He showed up. He followed the schedule. He did the work. Even though behind the scenes, the whole thing must have felt unfair. And soon, the cameras would start rolling on a movie that Keanu probably wanted to finish as quickly as possible. When filming finally began, Keanu Reeves had to face the reality of the situation. The movie was happening. His name was attached. And whether he liked it or not, he had to step in front of the camera and play the role. The film would later be known as The Watcher, a crime thriller where Keanu played a dangerous killer being hunted in a tense story of obsession and fear. But behind the scenes, the situation was not exciting for him. This was not a role he had chosen with passion. This was not a project he had carefully selected for the next step in his career. This was something he felt stuck with still. Keanu did not walk onto the set causing drama. He did not try to destroy the production. He did not behave like a superstar who thought he was above everyone. Instead, he showed up and did the job. That says a lot about his character. Even when the situation felt unfair, he remained professional. But no matter how professional he was, it was hard to hide the fact that his heart was not in the movie. When an actor is excited about a role, you can feel it. There is energy. There is commitment. There is a spark. But when someone feels trapped, that energy can disappear. And many people later felt that Keanu's performance in The Watcher did not have the same strength fans expected from him. Some scenes felt uncomfortable. Some moments felt forced. And instead of helping his image after The Matrix, the movie started to look like a strange mistake in the middle of his rising fame. But the hardest part was not just the acting. The hardest part was knowing that the person directing him was the same friend who had pulled him into the situation. So every day on set, Keanu had to act, take direction, and finish scenes for a movie he believed he never truly agreed to make. And when the filming finally ended, Keanu may have thought the worst was over. But the truth was, the biggest damage was still coming. After filming ended, Keanu Reeves may have hoped the whole situation would quietly disappear. Maybe the movie would come out, people would watch it, and then everyone would move on. But that is not what happened. By the time The Watcher was ready for release, Keanu was no longer just a familiar Hollywood actor. He was now one of the biggest names in the world because of The Matrix. That changed everything. The studio knew his name had power. They knew people were excited to see anything connected to him. So even though Keanu did not want to be heavily associated with the movie, his fame became one of the biggest reasons people paid attention to it. To many movie fans, the poster, the trailers, and the promotion made it look like this was another major Keanu Reeves project. And that created a dangerous expectation. People were not walking into the cinema thinking they were about to watch a small thriller with a complicated behind-the-scenes story. They were walking in expecting something exciting, something strong, something worthy of the actor who had just become a global action star. But when audiences finally saw the movie, many of them were disappointed. The film did not give them the kind of experience they expected. Instead of becoming another strong moment in Keanu's career, The Watcher quickly became one of the most criticized films connected to his name. Critics were harsh, audiences were not impressed, and the conversation around the movie became negative very fast. The painful part was that most people did not know what had happened behind the scenes. They did not know Keanu had only wanted to help a friend. They did not know the role had reportedly changed from a small appearance into something much bigger. They did not know he felt trapped by the situation. All they saw was Keanu Reeves in a movie they did not like. And because he was the biggest name attached to the project, a lot of the blame landed on him. That must have been frustrating. Imagine being forced into a project you never truly wanted, then watching the public criticize you as if the whole thing was your choice. For an actor, reputation matters. One bad movie can follow you. One poor performance can make people question your talent. And for Keanu, this happened at a very sensitive time. He was supposed to be enjoying one of the highest points of his career. He had just become a worldwide star. Studios were interested in him. Fans were watching him closely. But suddenly, instead of only celebrating his success, people were also talking about this strange thriller that made him look bad. And it did not help that his performance became one of the main targets. Some viewers felt he looked uncomfortable in the role. Others felt the character did not fit him. And some critics used the movie as a reason to attack his acting. The worst part was that Keanu could not fully defend himself yet. He could not simply come out and explain everything the way he wanted. So while the movie was being judged, while people were laughing at it, and while his name was being dragged into the criticism, Keanu had to remain quiet. He had to let the public think what they wanted. And for a man who had already been through so much just to finish the movie, that silence may have been the hardest part of all. Because sometimes the damage is not just the bad movie. Sometimes the real damage is knowing the truth, but not being able to say it. After The Watcher was released, Keanu Reeves was in a very uncomfortable position. The movie was out. The reviews were bad. People were criticizing his performance. And many viewers believed he had chosen the project himself. But Keanu knew there was a bigger story behind it. He knew this was never meant to be a major role. He knew it started as a simple favor. He knew he had been pulled into something that became much bigger than he expected. But even with all of that, he could not fully explain himself right away. According to reports, Keanu had made an agreement with the studio. He would not be forced to promote the movie heavily, but in return, he could not publicly speak badly about it for a certain period of time. So while people were blaming him, he had to keep quiet. That must have been very difficult. Because when your name is being dragged, the natural thing is to defend yourself. You want to say, this is not the full story. You want people to understand what really happened. But Keanu could not do that yet, so he remained silent. He let the movie come and go. He let the criticism happen. He let people judge the performance without knowing the pressure behind it. And that silence made the situation even more painful, because sometimes the hardest part is not being criticized. The hardest part is knowing your side of the story, but having to wait before you can tell it. For Keanu, this was more than just a bad movie experience. It was a lesson about trust, friendship, contracts, and how quickly Hollywood can turn one small promise into a career problem. But the silence would not last forever. Soon, Keanu would finally get the chance to speak. And when he did, fans would learn that this strange movie had a much deeper story behind it than anyone first realized. After waiting through the silence, Keanu Reeves finally got the chance to explain what had really happened. For months, people had judged the movie without knowing the full story. They saw Keanu on screen. They saw the weak reviews. They saw the criticism. But they did not see the pressure behind the scenes. They did not see how a small favor had turned into a much bigger role. They did not see how Keanu had reportedly felt trapped by paperwork he said he never properly agreed to. So when the waiting period was finally over, Keanu spoke out. He explained that The Watcher was not a movie he had truly wanted to make. He made it clear that the situation was complicated and uncomfortable for him. This was not a case of an actor proudly choosing a role and then being shocked when the movie failed. From his side, it was different. He felt pulled into a project that had grown far beyond what he originally expected. By the time he realized how serious it had become, walking away could have created even bigger problems. For Keanu, speaking out was important because his reputation had taken a hit. People had blamed him for the movie. Some had mocked his performance. Some had questioned why he would take a role like that right after becoming such a huge star. But now, he finally had a chance to say, this was not the full story. The sad part is that his explanation did not receive the attention it normally would have. Around that time, the world was focused on a major tragedy. The September 11 attacks in 2001. Because of that, Keanu's interview was overshadowed. The news cycle moved in a completely different direction, and his side of the story did not spread the way it might have on another day. So even after waiting to speak, many people still never heard his explanation. That made the situation even more unfortunate. Keanu had stayed quiet while the movie was criticized. Then when he finally opened up, the moment was buried under something much bigger than Hollywood. But even though the explanation did not become a huge public moment, it still revealed something important. Keanu Reeves had not simply made a bad movie and walked away. He had gone through a difficult experience involving trust, pressure, friendship, and legal fear. And somehow, even after feeling betrayed, even after being criticized, and even after being unable to defend himself for so long, Keanu did not allow that one movie to define him. Because while The Watcher became a painful chapter in his career, his story was far from over. After everything that happened with The Watcher, the story did not end the same way for everyone involved. For Joe Charbanick, the movie was supposed to be a huge breakthrough. This was meant to be the project that opened Hollywood's doors for him. He had finally directed a film with major stars attached, including Keanu Reeves, James Spader, and Marissa Tomei. On paper, that should have been a dream opportunity, but the movie did not become the career-launching success he may have hoped for. Instead of becoming known as the director of a powerful thriller, Joe became connected to one of the most uncomfortable stories in Keanu Reeves' career. The film received negative reactions, and the controversy around Keanu's involvement made the situation even worse. Joe's directing career did not grow into something huge after that. The big Hollywood future he wanted never truly arrived in the way he may have imagined. But for Keanu, the story went in a very different direction. Yes, The Watcher was a painful chapter. Yes, it brought criticism. Yes, it placed him in a role he said he never wanted, but it did not destroy him. In fact, Keanu's career recovered in a powerful way. The success of The Matrix continued to carry him forward. Fans still loved him. Studios still wanted him. And over time, people began to see him not just as an action star, but as one of the most respected and humble actors in Hollywood. That is what makes this story so interesting. A bad movie can damage an actor. A public embarrassment can follow someone for years. A betrayal from a friend can make a person bitter. But Keanu did not let this moment define him. He kept working. He kept showing up. He kept building his career. And years later, he would return even stronger with more unforgettable roles, especially through the John Wick franchise. That series introduced him to a new generation of fans and reminded the world why people had always connected with him. But beyond the movies, Keanu's public image became even bigger because of the way people saw him as a person. Stories about his kindness, his humility, and his quiet generosity made fans admire him even more. So while The Watcher could have become a stain that followed him forever, it slowly became just one strange chapter in a much bigger story. A chapter about trust, a chapter about pressure, a chapter about how Hollywood can turn friendship into business, and most importantly, a chapter about how one bad moment does not have to end a great career. Keanu Reeves walked through one of the most awkward situations of his professional life, took the criticism, stayed professional, and kept moving forward. And in the end, the movie that almost hurt his reputation did not stop him. It only became another reason people respect how he handled difficult moments with patience and class. In the end, the story of Keanu Reeves and The Watcher is more than just a story about a bad movie. It is a story about how one small favor can grow into something much bigger than expected. Keanu thought he was helping a friend. He believed he was giving a little time to support someone's dream. But that simple act of kindness reportedly turned into one of the most uncomfortable experiences of his career. His role changed. His time was taken. His name was used. And when the movie was released, he had to face the criticism without being able to fully explain himself. But what makes this story powerful is what happened after. Keanu did not let one difficult movie destroy him. He did not let betrayal, embarrassment, or public criticism stop his journey. Instead, he kept moving forward, stayed professional, and rebuilt his momentum. And today, when people talk about Keanu Reeves, they do not remember him because of one failed thriller. They remember him as a humble superstar, a respected actor, and one of the most loved figures in Hollywood. So maybe the real lesson is this: one bad chapter does not ruin the whole story. And for Keanu Reeves, that chapter only made his comeback even more impressive.